Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Awaking Happiness, the video podcast where we share stories and discoveries as we awaken our own happiness. Good morning, Chris.
Hello, good morning. Yeah, it's his morning. I'm
It is
back in the
morning. It's a cold one this morning. -6 apparently outside. I can see a lot of frost. And the topic today we chose in a very peculiar manner because I want to start with this story. So I woke up having had this very strange dream about something that I was worried about. And because I didn't want this fear to actually manifest in my life, and because I have my tools to release this perception of a stressful situation or a stressful event, outcome, things like that, I quickly engaged into this process to get myself, to regulate my nervous system. And it took me a minute or so. But that is not the main outcome here. As I was doing this changing of my perception, something else popped into my head. And it was this: I am too attached to what is and what has been to be able to make space to create the enough room for the new things to come, the new things that I really want to achieve in my life, and I've been working on for like 2 years now, and they're still not here. Well, not all of them. So as I realized this, I'm too attached to what was and what is, and I thought, is this really true? Let me reflect back into, the years that I've moved from place to place and stopped doing one thing to continue doing something else. And it's always caused me a problem, this transition from being settled in and very kind of comfortable in one place to move to forget about that now and to start a new thing. And it's in certain areas it's harder than others, but it's still there. So I thought, okay, well, how do I reverse this? Because in order for me to make space for the new things to come into my life, I need to clear it. I need to get the old stuff that I don't need anymore, or the fear of losing something. I need to get rid of that to be able to create the new. And this is where this topic came from, the attachment. Why was I too attached to what is now? Because I know all the parameters, it feels safe, even though it's not ideal. It's kind of safe, it's the comfort zone. Why am I too attached to it and not let go of it to make space for the new and the fresh and the desired and the dreams, and make space for that? And well, obviously I did my magical thing again with that, so hopefully it's now cleared. But this reminded me of what we've been teaching at school, what we have been taught at school as teachers, that the attachments that we create happen from a very, very young age. So, and I've got here a banner, what is attachment theory. So what we learn in school as teachers, and it's only rudimentary as well, is that children in the very, very first months of their life, they start creating this attachment with the adult, the carer, the parent, or whoever else is looking after them. And this is because they now feel secure that their needs are met. And when they create this proper, secure bond, they can then start being safe to explore. And as they become toddlers, they start crawling around, finding out about the world. And it feels safe because they always know that they can go back to their adult and their needs are going to be met. So this is attachment theory in like a very basic words set put together. And then when that doesn't happen, when this secure connection doesn't get connected, it doesn't get created, all sorts of behaviors start to happen, and children either become very avoidant, or they hide, they don't want to associate with other children, or they exaggerate their emotion, they start throwing tantrums, and or maybe do some create some behaviors that attract more attention from the adults, and all sorts of things like that. And as teachers, we were taught to recognize that, okay, well, and be understandable and understanding. Okay, there's these kids and they have certain more special needs because they didn't create their attachment as young children. So we need to be more like, they need to have special treatment. But then as in my practice of more than like 20 years now in the education, at the beginning of me being a teacher, these were individual cases, like 1, 2 kids here and there and scattered around. Towards the end, when I actually decided enough is enough, it was a whole classroom full of those kinds of kids who were either having issues learning or behavioral problems, or you name it. So as a teacher, you had to be dealing with all sorts of like 30 individual cases of attachment that was kind of not really created, and cater for their emotional well-being as well as their learning as well. So that said, that's just a little background for you. And then I thought, okay, we have this book, which I have on my reading list. I haven't yet addressed, I haven't yet opened, but Chris has. So maybe we can talk about this book, because this will certainly help you understand yourself a lot better. So Chris, over to you. You said something about the beginning of this book that was quite mesmerizing.
Well, yeah, it's really interesting because this book is essentially about relationships and how you can improve them, and try to understand yourself and where you're starting from, and how you treat other people who you're in a relationship, and you can be on the spectrum. This book covers 3 main aspects, but you can be one type with one person and another type with another person. It's possible to be different with different people, but at the start of the book it says something like there was a survey done of like what people felt was the most important thing in life, and about 87% of people said it's about relationships and connection with other human beings, and yet, and like 87% or something, it was a huge number. Like almost everybody said it was people and relationships, and yet we spend no time teaching or educating anybody about what we're doing. So we're just in the boat going down the river at complete mercy of the water and the wind and the weather, without any tools to kind of manage it. And that was quite surprising. Not surprising on the respect that people think people in relationships, but the surprising that we don't even think to bring this topic up with people in society. I don't know why. It's a bit like finance, isn't it? It's a bit like finance. They don't teach how to manage finance in schools. It's like, what are they worried that people might improve or something? Or I don't know what it is, but when you look at this book, it really divides attachment into just 3. It's not difficult. 3 simple. So what you were talking about with kids and like how they learn in those very formative early years, and like if you look at a parent who's sitting on a park bench and the child goes off to get on a swing or to play with something, they'll constantly look back at the adult to see whether they're still there and they're still safe. and and they won't go very far away. And if they do, the further they go, the more they look back.
And some
Because
of them, it's interesting, you will know whether they have a secure attachment or not, because some of them don't care about their adult. They just go. And they know that they come back, the adult is going to be there.
yeah,
Or they
and
know that, or there could be another way where they're dashing off and the adult is chasing them. And they think that this is how it is. I'm gonna run and she's gonna follow me. Oh, that shows me that she loves me.
yeah.
My mom is a caring one because I run away and she follows me.
So I mean, like, these obviously transmute into adults, and we basically we don't really, in those early years, we really don't have any conscious decision about what we're doing. This is all just being plowed into the subconscious, which then manifests itself in later life when we are more powerful to make choices. We don't even know why we're making the choices, because this thing was all filed before we really had any idea of who we were or whatever. But it was still important, because emotionally we were learning, and we were we were doing things which we didn't have a clue, but they were forming habits really at those early years. And this book basically divides it into three simple ways. Is there's the sort of anxious, needy type at the one end, and then at the other end there's the aloof, I don't give a monkey's type, um, attitude, as it were. And then you've got in the middle secure, which is basically, I mean, they're basically the ones that have kind of got some kind of balance in all of this. And there's neither right nor wrong in any of this, by the way. It's just a question of recognizing what your relationship with others is, and also providing you with the tools to be able to see what behaviors other people are exhibiting with you. So you can start to make sense of the connection in some kind of analytical way.
Yeah, so if
Which
I were to go back to the attachment theory, it's like as we create these attachments as little children, and we're talking here babies, like newborn to toddler age, really, really young and very unaware of, or maybe we are, I don't know, we just don't remember. We're working on in those ages. We at that age we work in a like a hypnosis kind of state. Um, so the brain just absorbs and it goes all subconscious. But what I'm saying here is that we create two types of images. We create our mental image about ourselves, who we are, how we are, and then we create a mental image about the world, which is obviously a reflection of what the internal one is. So we have these two images. Okay, am I a good person? Am I worthy? Am I lovable? Am I this? Am I that? And then obviously, then we reflect that, oh, the world is a scary place. I am not lovable, so it's a scary place. I can't go around about achieving anything because this is bad. This is awful. I'm scared. And so as we go along, and the book says, then, like you said, it starts with this type, the anxious type, who are preoccupied with their relationships and tend to worry about their partner's ability to love them back. So this is the one that are very, the nervous system is constantly on the alert.
Well, they're very needy. So what happens here with this type is they're constantly looking for validation that the partner loves them. And they're testing. It's a game. There's so many games that are played in relationships. Oh, I just did this just to see what happened. Like, and oh, that I didn't get the response I expected, therefore they don't love me. Or you don't care, you don't care, or whatever it happens to be. And it's a constant, and what happens is that if the other person is aloof, right, they get fed up with it in the end, and they just, I don't need to be constantly tested. Now, The secure one, just taking them you have to read the book to get the full details, but the secure person understands what the other one, what the needy one is doing, what the anxious one is doing, because they recognize it and they see that, and they basically just try and nurture them through by, I guess, helping them understand they don't need to keep doing this. It's like, you
imagine.
don't
Yeah,
need to
sorry.
keep checking on me to see whether I care or not. Just understand I do, and then gradually allow the needy one to basically rein it in, so they don't need to keep doing it, because all that's doing is bothering them, really, because the other person, whether they're avoidant or whether they're secure, they're not worried by it. They're either pissed off and get fed up and off they go, or they're trying to do their best to help that person become a better version of themselves. But they can't do it if they fall over themselves to basically deliver on every request that person that's anxious wants. They'll never get better, will they? Because all that's happening is they're testing, it's getting sorted, testing, getting sorted, testing, getting sorted. It's like it's a never-ending story. What you need is the testing to diminish, because the other person's learning that their worries are unfounded.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes time.
Well, a secure person reminds me of a lighthouse. The lighthouse is flashing and shining regardless of the waters. Whatever bashing sea comes over them, they'll stand there and they'll be just shining their light, not bothered.
Yeah.
Calm or rough, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So if you're starting to get curious about this book, I've included a link to the Amazon store where you can buy it from, and it's quite an interesting thing to as you read it, to see where you're at. So it's maybe self-assess what am I doing in my relationship, and it's not just with another person, it's also your relationship with the world around. In my case, it wasn't with another person. I had this relationship with my environment. I was really needily clinging to what I've got, and scared and worried about, well, I don't even, if you're asking me why you're worried about letting it go, I would tell you I have no idea. I'm not. But I was just doing it subconsciously. There was something else I wanted to mention. Now it's escaped my head.
I mean, that, the attachment book is more about relationships, but you're right. I mean, like, if we're constantly grasping and attaching to ourselves, we become prisoners to those things. We become prisoners to the things that we're attaching ourselves to, and we don't give ourselves. It's like, what the fear attached to it is basically a fear of change. It's simply a fear of change. I don't feel powerful enough that if my circumstances change, I'll be able to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
That's essentially the problem. It's change. I mean, I had this problem at school with my maths, as I said in the previous one, where I'd get comfortable during the reason it existed was that, as we both know, we went from a school where we were probably top 5 to a school where we were middle of the road to lower half, because for some reason. And what happens is that you want to be on a par with everybody else. By the end of the week, a subject we were doing, probability or set theory or whatever it was, at the end of the week, I'm up with everyone else. The start of next week, we start another topic. Oh no, I'm back in the crapper again. and And it's nothing to do with the maths or the teacher. It's to do with my ability to accept change and embrace it. And once I cottoned on to it, I was all right. But and you know, and I'm fortunate that I cottoned on to it early. That change was inevitable, and we don't have any control over it. It's just going to happen anyway. And if we restrict ourselves to the things we know, there's no future, is there? There
Exactly.
is there's no future, because all I'm doing is I'm getting in the box that I know, and I'm staying in the box. There's a bigger box over there. It could be a load better over there if you just accepted the fact that you need to welcome in change.
Well, somehow I wanted to go over there in the bigger box, but I wanted to get my small box with me as well.
Yeah, the trouble is you can't get that small box in the big box because it's got a lot of other stuff in it. Box has to stay outside. Oh no, I've got to get out of this box to get into this box. Yep.
Yeah. So that was it. I can't remember what I was thinking, but maybe it was this about accepting change, what you just shared, and
You know,
reminded me of school times, how we were then. Yeah.
the thing is, right? The thing is, there is never very many real issues. There's anxious optimism. There's fear of change. Not fear. It's like change. There's not many things, really and truthfully. When in reality, there are not many things that we have to basically learn to cope to accept. There's not that many, like, and yet we think up in our own minds a gazillion different problems, and there aren't that many. Not really, are there?
No, I remember now what I was going to say. I remembered. It was about, because we were talking about it before we started broadcasting, about it being, why do people not want to see themselves as who they really are? Because it's painful. But it's only painful if you don't have tools to do the change and the transformation. It's like plucking your eyebrows for women. It's only a little bit like pinch, 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 done. And then you are nice and beautiful. I need to do that by the way. So it is, we have this perception that looking into ourselves and checking who we really are is a painful job. But it's only painful if we want to hold on to it. But if we see it and we say, that's it, I'm not doing this, I'm gonna start loving myself, even though I might be experiencing X, Y, and Z. I'm gonna accept that this part of me who's hurt. I'm gonna accept it, and I'm gonna send it love, and I'm gonna give it love, and actually heal it, because there's so much better things that are waiting for me. There's no need to hold on to this trauma, this pain. And it seems somebody might say, oh yeah, it's easy for you because you can do this transformation, this change easily. You did it, you're doing it all the time, so you're used to it, so it's easy for you. But tell you what, that change thing for me was just as killing as.
But to accept, like, people might say, like, well, it's all right for you. You don't seem to have that many flaws. Look, I've been working. No, I've been working on myself all my life, and there's still loads to do. Right? You never stop. You really don't ever stop. You can get confused, and you can end up, sucking up your own message, as it were, and realizing that you still have a massive issue. But like, it's not painful the more often you do it. Like when people say, like, I was talking with someone the other day, and it was like, when I was a kid, my mum wasn't really that huggy. She wasn't like that cuddly.
That was the same as my mum.
I don't remember getting many. Oh, come here and give me I don't remember the come here and give me a hug. I'm not saying it never happened. I'm just saying I don't remember it being a big feature of things. And so you might say, oh, you may have, I may have compensated with that and been very huggy in later life, and that, or trying to encourage people to hug me. You might say that was something that I was very keen on doing because it was a lack that I needed to have filled up. I mean, I don't have that issue so much anymore, but one group of people might say, oh no, I don't think that's true, and other people might say it is. But it was something that I needed to explore, because looking back at my childhood, I saw something there that perhaps could have resulted in a later behavior. And whether it was true or not doesn't really make any difference. It's like, is it impacting today's life, and am I hanging on to it? Yeah, like from a kid, like with a kid's brain, and it, to admit it or not admit it, is just a thing where you have to say, is that a problem or not? Can I bring that in and see how that feels? Like, what does hugging do per se? And like, that's a whole different topic, but it's worth exploring. But you need to go there. You can't do it by going, no, nothing wrong with me. It's like glossing over it. It's not a problem to have a problem, is it? I think that's one of the
another mindset. Oh no, you can't have problems. You're amazing. That's the fixed mindset that I grew up to have. Oh, you're amazing. You can't be. You're the best. You can't. Oh, how dare you not be the best? If I wasn't. So in my case, it still is. I sometimes catch myself thinking, gosh, I'm not really that good like they said I was. I've got so many things to sort out.
But this is all comparison, isn't it? It's all going back to the comparison thing. It's like, it doesn't really, like, the question is, are you happy?
Yeah,
and
that's the test.
And can you improve it? Yeah, and what do you need to do that? And then just working through them. And what does it matter if somebody else says, oh, you're not the real deal after all, are you? It's like, no. And are you the real deal then? No. Okay.
No.
Well, glass houses and all that, throwing bricks and stuff. It doesn't matter though, does it? Who cares? Like, the question is, do you care enough, and are you interested in being happy? Because if the answer is yes, then do the work. It's like, no one's going to get shot. It's not like, oh, I've discovered something bad about me. Okay, stand against the wall. I'm going to kill you now. Nothing happens. Nothing happens.
That's when we need to start loving ourselves more. And we talked about this selfishness and self-love on yesterday's episode. Worth checking that one. I'll put a link as well up there. If you're wanting to discover something about this selfishness and self-love. But when it comes to attachments, and we can wrap this up, they are very important, how we develop them in our early childhood.
Yeah, I mean, avoidance, like, what happens with avoidance is, in the book, I think he says this, they say this, is that if you keep testing for love and it doesn't appear, then you stop bothering. You stop bothering to test for love. And this, I think, ends up becoming the avoidant person. You're so fed up subconsciously of like questioning whether people love you or not, you stop bothering. And if you're in a relationship with someone who's needy, this is kind of almost like the worst combination. You've got someone who's like, just stop bothering me, and someone who's needs you to say, yes, I still care, yes, I still love you. And the other person saying, well, I'm not interested in this because it didn't work as a kid, so I'm not gonna keep doing this thing. It's like, and they become very, very motivated to be independent, not interested in committing to anybody, and certainly they seem to be a little bit like, happy to work on their own about and doing things and stuff like that. And you could say I have a tendency to be like that, but then there are other situations where I have a tendency to be absolutely the opposite of that. Well, not needy, but not like that. So like it, and that's what I'm saying. It depends on the person, doesn't it? It depends on the
Yeah.
triggers between the people. Like and the aloof people tend to be seen as cold, not caring, not emotional, like just basically blanking things and just getting on with stuff and just ignoring people, right? And like if you feel like that's how I've treated you, I'm sorry, but it's I'm aware of it, of that tendency, but I think you'll find you're triggered into these things by how other people respond. And although you can manage it in terms of like that I don't ever mean to offend anybody, but offense is taken, not given. um like um the thing is that maybe you have to look a bit deeper into these things and say, well, what am I doing that's causing this? Could I be better?
Yeah.
Instead of looking at the other people all the time and going, oh, it's your fault, I'm this, you're that, you're doing this, you're doing that, you're the problem. And 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 taking the attitude that not taking the attitude that it's you that needs to do some work as well, by the way, not just everybody else. And if you've got lots of these people that are making you a victim, then maybe you need to look at your own actions and say, am I creating this environment myself or not?
Yeah. Well, that was a good conclusion to
Yeah.
the whole talk about attachment. Thank you, Chris. So, as always, please, if you found value in our musings here and our reflections, do subscribe, hit this bell button to be notified when we release the next episode. It's usually daily that we create these videos. And if you liked it, maybe you want to share this episode with someone else, one of your friends, they might find value in it as well. So, thank you for watching and see you on another episode
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Bye for now.
Bye.
See ya.